everybody. We are excited. Welcome to the Multipli Podcast. I am here with Steve Key. He is a franchise owner at CarePatrol. And right now we are doing a series where we're talking to folks that are leaders or owners in the in-home care, the home health, senior living, or connected spaces. Steve, really excited to have you on board. Why don't you go ahead and kick off by sharing some of your background?
All right. Thanks a lot, Josh, for having me on here. Really great to be here. First of all, my life started pretty much working in the retail world industry. I went to college, had a brief experience of trying to play some basketball overseas, and got a chance to see the Australia lights and got hurt over there and had to come back home. And as I came back home, it gave me some opportunities to work and train and work out with the Orlando Magic. And I got to work out with those guys. This is when Shaquille was there, so I guess it shows a little bit of my age and everything like that. But it gave me some
That's awesome.
opportunities to play with a lot of professional guys and just be in that kind of world. And then Shaq was also nice enough to get me in a couple of his commercials with Pepsi. So I was with him on a Pepsi commercial. And then I got to play in the traveling league with the retired players like Otis Smith, Greg Kite, and those guys where we traveled throughout the whole state of Florida playing the colleges before during the preseasons. And then as I was continuing that, I just trained and worked out with young kids and was teaching them in their driveways or at the gyms. So a lot of training and leadership is what I was doing at that age as a youth. And as I grew older, I realized it's time for me to start working. So I started going into the retail world. And I've been in the retail world ever since then, and went through the ranks as assistant manager, store manager, all the way up to district manager training, then also regional as well in certain companies. So a lot of coaching, developing, training others to ensure that they're being led by my knowledge and my experience, and also seeing them grow to my positions or even greater. So
Steve,
yeah.
That's awesome. So professional basketball, injury took you out of the game, kind of landed you in a space where you were doing some training. And I always find this interesting because I had a lot of friends who played at a high level, whether it be at a D1 college or even semi-pro ball, pro baseball, other sports as well. What's the mindset? So like when you realize that like, hey, I got to hang up the shoes and this is what I've been committed to my whole life. What's the mindset as you're trying to figure out what's next coming out of a season like that?
Well, I think that all depends on your upbringing too. So I had a great mom and dad that supported me in whatever I did, and just got to that point where I was one time talking to like Artis Gilmore about trying to get in a 6'1" under league. I'm at his trailer and everything like this. Is one guy, he was trying to get me into a Toronto league and everything like that, and I was just like saying, "Wow, it's not happening," And it's like when it's at that point, it's more like politics because, I work out and play with the guys that play the Magic, and they saw that I had some skill sets and everything. But it's not, like saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Those kind of same kind of players are in the league are pretty much about equal. Everyone's about equal. You're going to have the Michael Jordans, Kobe's, Forte, and everything like that. But majority of the times, you're going to have everybody on that same playing field. So, a lot of these scouts and owners are saying, what's this, their superpower? They played on TV. They got called out by Dick Vitale or something like that, or they're diaper dandy and everything like that. So after a while, this as I start to turn like 29, 30, I was like saying, I don't see that this is going that way. So just had the work ethics of just had to start grinding and finding myself a career.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you went into retail, and my understanding is that you found that was just a great place where they could identify your leadership talent that you brought to the table, probably largely from athletics and your family background as well. And where were you in retail before ultimately making the jump into CarePatrol?
The last spot was in retail. I was a district manager with AutoZone. Had like over 18 stores and I'm leading my, as I call it, my team, my flock, coaching, developing, and training them to be better people today and seeing them grow into different positions and different roles and, making success. And then as I was leaving, as I made that decision, when we got into this business, it was a tough decision for me just to say, hey, I want to retire from retail and take this leap of faith with my wife and going into entrepreneurial. It was really, really tough. And as I did it and I made an announcement, I gave him not a 2 weeks, I gave him a month, because it wasn't like I was leaving because I was bitter with the company. It's a great company, AutoZone. I don't know if you ever know about AutoZone, but if you follow them in stocks, the shares are over like $3,600 a share. That's a very incredible feat. When I got there, it was like 1,900. That was 4 years ago. AutoZone it's a great day to be an AutoZoner, and that's what they say. So as I left, they had a store manager regional meeting, and I was surprised they called me up at the front at the end, and they had a cake for me. My boss was crying. My HR person was crying. My LP person was crying. Had the store managers chant my name, standing in ovation, and everything like that. And I started, I admit I was crying too. I was very emotional. And then, as I started speaking to them and everyone, I told everyone, I said, this is what, one of the books that I read by Bob Abershaw. This is your ship. And he says, when you leave an organization, there's two ways you can leave: tears or jeers. You create your own journey as far as what that means. It's your legacy. And I told him that, and I said, and I see all the tears, and even myself, it lets me know I'm going to be missed. And it's not like it's a celebration. I still stay in communication with a lot of them, develop a lot of relationships with them. And as I was leaving, they were giving me some gifts that whole month when I announced it. And then one of the gifts of this hit me to the core. One of my guys I was roommating with, a DM, he got me and take me to the side and said, had this box and he gave it to me. It was a helmet, his fireman's helmet. And I was just like, wow. He said, hey, this means a lot to me, but this just shows what kind of person you are to me. And he said, this is a fireman's helmet. He said, you can't clean it. You can dust it off, but you can't never clean it. He said, it saved a lot of cats out of trees and helped people from falling down and everything like that. And inside of it has a picture of his son in there who was paralyzed. He said, and it's still that same picture. That was just another touching moment. Great relationships. And, I get asked today, do I miss it? It's not that I missed the hustle and bustle. I missed the relationships that I created and I'm still creating. And they still are reaching out to me to this day. They're getting interviews for like district managers. And I told them I'll be, I can be your advisor and, answer some questions for you and talk to you, guide you. So that's, I'm still in that field.
That's awesome, Steve. Tears or jeers. I really like that. You saw me taking a note there, writing that down. That's impactful, right? Sometimes people, I feel like they're crying beforehand, hoping that they leave, right? Not crying on the back end, wishing that they would stay. So clearly, you've been the type of leader who has made a difference, not just in a company's bottom line. And I know that those divisional roles are tough roles because you wear every hat.
Absolutely.
And you manage a lot of people, and it can be difficult in the retail space. But I know that you make a huge difference too. So my dad has a background in grocery store management, so I can appreciate from watching him as a kid growing up how difficult those roles can be, but also how rewarding when you see the development that can happen from somebody that starts at the bottom and you really help develop them into more of the person that they were capable of becoming. So
absolutely,
props to you, Steve. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So you made that tough decision to switch over and enter into this world of entrepreneurship and CarePatrol with your wife. How did that come about? And I know there's a lot of franchise opportunities that are out there. Why CarePatrol?
Yeah, that's a great question. People ask that. And like I said, it all started with my wife. As I tell everybody, she's the brains and beauty of this whole ship right here. I'm just a muscle beating up the pavement. But she's the one that did the research on it. She's in the healthcare world. She manages CRAs and things that she's done as far as clinical research, done some contracting and everything like that. And she's been doing it and she just started looking into things because she's always had that entrepreneurial kind of spirit. Me, myself, I grew up, my dad military, I grew up very stringent as far as, as a man, everything's a waffle cone, so straight. So I was like never leading to that. And she kept looking into it and started looking and she started showing me some things about Care Patrol. And I was like saying, so she showed me a couple of the figures. I'm like, seems like it could be some profitability there. And then she starts telling me, she says, you're been a successful leader. You've been on the stage a few times. You got called out. You got this and that. You've been here and there. She says, one of these days, that plane can land and they can say, we don't need you anymore. And she said, don't you want to be your own boss? And I started thinking about that. And I was like, wow. And just in that kind of realm, things start happening in my world where it's just like saying, wow. So, I think that was that spirit or, God. And so, I just thought about everything and we kept looking and we kept talking to like the franchisor, doing like interviews with them because I was still like on the fence. And then it came in August when I just said, let's pull the trigger. And I walked down the stairs and told her let's do it. She said, why all of a sudden now? And I told her, everything happens for us great in August. We met in August, got married in August, and we closed on our house in August. I said, I call it the trifecta week. Is when we met either August 12th, told I was going to marry in a year. We got married August 9th. Then 2 years later, we got the keys for our first house that we built on August 12th. Can't make that up. That's why I said it was in August. I said, let's just do it. So gave me more time to prepare. And I left retail in November 23. I came on board with CarePatrol. You said, why CarePatrol? It's a really good story with CarePatrol. CarePatrol was started by a social worker 30 years ago. He was actually discharging families and placing them and having them go into different communities and everything like that. And then he realized that they were going to the wrong place because no one was really taking the time, or he never got a chance to see them. He decided to do his own business. And he started doing his own business. And from 30 years later, we have over 225 locations throughout the United States, and five and including in Canada as well. So, it just shows once again, his vision of what he wanted to do is helping others and comes back to me. And that's what I consider myself, always been a humble servant leader. Just always from my youth, growing up in the boys club, growing up in the church and everything like that, and helping in basketball. I've always helped others. And I feel like this was another calling. And I feel like I feel like really I'm in a nice, comfortable space right now where I'm helping others and hearing people say I feel I'm like an angel coming down and helping them. So.
It's amazing, Steve. So cool. So cool. So you mentioned that it was started by a founder who saw a need to help correctly place some people. And I want to focus in on this just because even just from like LinkedIn research and some of our initial conversations, you were helping me better understand a little bit more about what really is the Care Patrol model, right? People are familiar with some of the franchises in the in-home care space where a caretaker will come into the space, right, and provide activities of daily living. People are familiar with nursing homes and senior home facilities where people just like their forever home, their end of life home. And then there's all different types of models in between. There's placement agencies, there's other things like where does Care Patrol fit into the mix?
Okay, well, we're a placement advisory.
Okay.
So we are like, think of us as someone that takes the family by the hand and find out all their care needs as far as activities, dailies of living. We found out their medical history, found out their budgets, and find out some things as far as getting to know the family, having a real deep discovery with them. And after we find all those things, what we do is we have it in our database with hundreds of providers in the areas that we are in, and we match them up to their care needs. And by matching up with their care needs, we always check the health and safety board reports to ensure that safety is number one. So we always looking at the DHS, which is Department of Health and Services state boards. They do a state survey every year, and they review them with stars. And when they review them with stars, that's what we review with the families to make sure that they are understanding that they're what kind of place that we are representing them for. And after we do that, we find out some good places for them, a few places, then we take them on the tours. We tour the communities with the families, pretty much being their liaison, their concierge service for them, helping them ask the right questions, or if they don't ask the questions, we'll be right there for them, asking those questions and guiding them and taking them step. And what I have a philosophy, what I say in my franchises, I say from beginning to infinity, I'll provide care. Because after we even find that their place, we'll follow up after day one, make sure that mom or dad or the loved one was transitioned okay. Then we'll follow up in a week later to see how everything's going, make sure everything's going good. Day 14, we'll do the same thing. And then day 30 as well, just to let the family know that we're here with them and we'll continue to be there with them because if they're not happy, we're not happy. And we're here for the families. And that's, the really heart and soul of what this business is. Like I said, by us helping others, calling them to make sure everything's okay, texting them or if they need something, we can help them with something. And so these are the things that what Care Patrol does. We're more of a hands-on placement advisory solution. And what I mean by solutions, we have other things other than just what we do as far as place families. We do care planning guidance. Families need a state lawyer, elder lawyer, a home and care business, or they need like a realtor. I tell families, I ask them, have they ever heard of Buc-ee's? And they say yes. I said, treat me like Buc-ee's. I'm your one-stop shop. I have everything you need. So we just let them know there's no need for them to go anywhere else. We can take everything and help them, let them know that they're not alone in this process. So that's what we are doing, and especially with the transition to the families, because as a business, that's the way you really grow your business, either through referrals or through referrals. Referrals are a lot better because they're people who actually live and saw what you're actually doing. Referral is just letting them know we have an organization that can help you, which is still a good thing.
That's so good, Steve. So, a placement advisory firm, a couple things I want to hone in on from what you said there. So, first of all, like, I really like that model because I'm sure that plenty of people who are entering into this space, whether it be the senior that needs to potentially be relocated, dependent upon the results of your assessment, or the adult children who are having to make a stressful decision about where to place mom, dad, or a loved one, you don't know what you don't know.
That's
And
right.
sure, there's research that we can all do. We can all talk to friends who have been in similar positions. But what could be better than talking to a trusted advisor who knows the space like the back of their hand, who knows all of the end-to-end connections that you could want to make? That seems like a great model to be able to fill the gap. And when you mentioned Buc-ee's too, I know that when we take road trips, we'll go out of the way to find a Buc-ee's, right? Like, there's a threshold, like depending upon if we have the kids with us, but like we'll go out of the way for Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting point too, because I know Buc-ee's, they just have like everybody talks about Buc-ee's, so good word of mouth going, and then they have billboards hundreds of miles away from where the Buc-ee's actually are. For you, Steve, I heard you mention referrals. What's really your go-to play, and what do you see most commonly with CarePatrol franchisees when it comes to marketing, tech, and finding new clients to work with?
Well, first of all, when we're talking about as far as the marketing and what's our go-to, my main go-to is what I tell my referral partners, or even when I'm working with the families, that my service to them is no cost. And that's the magic where if it's free, it's me kind of mentality. Just like you're saying, by the sons or the daughters going out on the internet and everything like that, we let them know, saying, hey, you don't have to do that. Let us be your eyes and ears. I'll find the correct place while you worry about the acuities at home. And then also on top of that, we're not charging you from that, because we get paid from the hundreds and thousands of providers that we support. That's our support. And then by doing that, my main source is by a lot of marketing, and how I get referrals is I do a lot of marketing as far as knocking on doors to SNFs, which are skilled nursing facilities, hospitals, talking to discharge planners or social workers, also our providers too as well, because sometimes people that they're touring in their communities may not be able to afford that place, or may not be able to. So I can say, if you have somebody like that, let me help them, let me guide them, navigate them. Also, a lot of, far as tech, I would say I'm doing a lot of social media. I'm posting pretty much daily on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm also doing some info commercials. I did a couple of those now, and got that on TikTok and put it out there on YouTube, and I've been getting some results with it. And now I got results from one of them. I posted like a grand reopening that we're doing in my Asheville market last Thursday, by me posting so much on one of our Facebook pages. I got a gentleman from a TV station that pretty much wants me to get a airtime spot. Talk to me and my wife about doing a commercial or something. In the middle of the day, talking about our business and everything like that. That we're your local partners. So I tell you, it's just internet, and just continuing just different ways of being creative as far as things that I'm doing. If I'm going to a marketing event, I'm taking pictures. Showing pictures and letting everybody sharing my experience. We tried the Facebook ad where we had someone just where this guy, where he was charging us, and he was pretty much had the AI bots answering the calls, and this I didn't feel like that was too my niche as far as our clients. Our clients are more the families that are in despair, that needs help, and the first thing they don't need is an AI bot asking generic questions, and it's more of a touchy feeling. So we didn't go that route. Then we did a SEO company when we first started, and I think that was a little too soon. And we tried that, going the SEO routes, and it's all about the clicks, as you know. But that's a high revenue if you want some results. Right now in our business, I just have to do it the old-fashioned way, and I'm just
Sure.
one man show.
Creative and consistent.
That's right, definitely
I see you
consistent.
posting on LinkedIn almost every day, Steve. I
Yeah,
got my notifications, and I respect your consistency,
absolutely.
my friend. Seriously.
So
Sometimes
little
like
by little.
consistency beats.
Yep. There's a definition of consistency. Consistency to me is little by little, little becomes a lot. And you just got to continue to do it. And that's something I used to teach my store managers, and, planning, the 6 P's. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance. You got to plan your work and work your plan. So definitely, that's just, I'm an operator. I'm an operator. Like I said, my wife, she's the brains and beauty to all this, everything like that. But I'm the operator. You put a project in front of me, see picture, I can get the picture done. and then probably have it done a few days early
Absolutely.
in time because
Absolutely. I think
I
I've
hate
heard it said
procrastinating.
before. Oh, I'm sorry. See, you cut out there for just a second. I wasn't trying to interrupt you,
Like, no,
but
I didn't.
I hear
That.
you. You're the operator. Your
Yep,
wife is the brains.
yep. I'm
I think
operating.
I think I've heard it said before, a book called The 1% Rule, which is another great one. I think it says consistency beats strategy when strategy won't work hard, right? And obviously you have that background where you're going to take the foul shots, you're going to take the shots every day until you actually like have enough reps under your belt where you know you can get it done. So, yeah, sometimes like just creative and consistent, that wins over a million other
All
things that
day.
you can do.
All day. Gary Player says you practice. Says if you do something enough, he said if you practice enough, you deserve to be lucky. It ain't lucky because you practice it enough. So
Right.
I'm definitely in that.
So, how long have you been with CarePatrol now, Steve? And where are you on the journey? What are you excited about now? Now that you're beyond that point of transition out of retail into entrepreneurship, how deep are you in? How many months or years are you into your business now?
Well, like I said, I left the retail November 23, and I say during that first few months we were doing some training. I had to get some certifications. Certified senior advisor that we had to have, so we were studying for that and got that. And then once we got that, then we had to do a couple of like more training with the corporate, and they were monitoring how you're doing. And then they after you travel with someone, and then April of 2024 is when they allowed me to start really getting referrals and taking clients that way. And that started that in the Gastonia territory. We have two territories, so I did that. And I tell you, in the beginning, I'm still in the beginning, but that was truly the infancy phases. Like a brand new baby. Your neck's not strong, you don't know what you're doing, but I was still going out there. Not afraid to meet people and just understand what's going on and start all about relationships. And that's what I realized that this business is. It's not nothing we're selling. Only thing we're selling is ourselves, and it's really about a relationship business. And so I say from there until now, like I said, now about a year in, we got the Asheville market going as well. It got set back a little bit because in September the storm happened, Helene, and we stopped, doing any operations and for about 6 months. And then in April, I went back and started going back at it again. Grateful enough for the franchisor; they were not charging us anything. They said, we'll allow some recovery from the state, from the city and everything like that. So now I'm back there, and where I'm at right now, I tell you, I'm getting ready. I'm interviewing people for a position down there in the Asheville market for a marketing person, someone who can continue to spin the plates as I've already generated. So I can just come down there when I need to. I'm someone that's going to be boots on the ground while I do this other territory, and then we can just partner that way. So I'd say from that first year, a lot of learning, understanding where you're spending your money at, and where not to, and this things what you need to focus on, and a lot of relationships that I built and continue to build, and that's helped a lot. And I say that every day is everyone I meet, this is like a new relationship. I am a people person, and I've always been a people person. And so, that journey of me being a people person, someone that I helped train as a district manager in my previous role in GameStop, and also real close friend of mine got married a few weeks ago. He asked me to be in the wedding, and I was like, best man, no, I want you to officiate it. I was like, wow. I was, thought he was joking. I started joking back, and he said, no, he said it would mean the world to me. He says, I want you to have a bigger role in this marriage that I'm doing right now, and I want you to, officiate it. So I got licensed, and I officiated my first wedding this year as well too. So that was just another humbling experience in my journey. So, and I posted that on all my
Yeah.
sites, and people were not been out in some of the worlds I'm in, and they said, "Wow, I saw that you did a you did a officiating now. You said, what can't you do?" I said, "Hey, I'm here for the people. Anything I can do to help others," and that's that was definitely a great experience. Just continue to grow, and as you start any entrepreneurial business, you don't come out the gate on being successful. And it takes sometimes you got to fail. And you show me any successful person, I show you that they fail at least 9 times. So you got to keep going and keep going. And like we said about the consistency, and little by little, a little becomes a lot. And so
Absolutely.
just build upon what you're doing. It's like Lego. Just keep building, and you want to grow. Like I said, this year here, I've seen so much success already, and I'm having some success as far as we're moving families in. I'm getting referrals from families I placed that's calling me saying I have somebody else. That's letting me know I'm getting to that kind of, being at that level. So I'm growing.
Building that engine. That's awesome,
Yes.
Steve. That's awesome. Well, Steve, I'm so happy that we've taken the time to hear more about your experience at CarePatrol here. I've got one question coming for you in just a minute. And again, obviously, as you know, just on our end at Multipli Tech, we specialize in custom software, mobile apps, websites, and AI consulting. We have fractional CFO, CTO, and CMO services. I wouldn't necessarily say that we're an all-in-one shop to the degree that Bucky's is, but we do have a lot of friends in the space because we fully believe that you can't build great tech without considering marketing, without considering finance. And that's why my twin brother and I, we really have more of a management consulting background than a tech background, and decided to build a tech agency to solve the exact types of problems that we wanted to solve in our businesses along the way. So my last question for you, Steve, what's going to be the big thing that happens this August? Anything new?
Well, we wanted to do something, but as the business is growing, I got to make sure I got staff and everything like that. But we will definitely figure out something. We were 2 years ago we were going to go to Italy, but one of her good friends was getting married, and they had us in the wedding. It was in Punta Cana. So, but before that, I took her to Punta Cana the year before on our anniversary. So we went back again. So that was, it was different. We went to a different. This time we were more at the hangout kind of area. The first time was more like that resort for the adults on the island. So yeah, I'm thinking of something. And we always saying I want to take her to Germany and everything like that. But I said, wherever we go, I just want to play at least one round of golf, especially if we go to Germany. I got to go over there and try to do something, but definitely looking at something in that way. So August is definitely the month. That is the month.
That's awesome, Steve. Well, Steve, thank you again for taking the time to join us. And we're excited to be able to get this out to some of your viewers and to share more about your story. So thanks for taking the time to be on Multipli Podcast today.
Thank you.